Well, hello there. Welcome to another episode of How They See Us. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome, welcome. If you've been with us for previous episodes, I'm so glad you stopped back through. I just love this podcast that we've created, How They See Us, because it gives me an opportunity to have conversations with people in our community to talk about how they are seen, how they are perceived, and really have an opportunity to share their message and their vision and their voice. And so every month, I know you all know, I always start off by saying, this is my favorite month. Well, I'm not, this one really is my favorite month because, well, every month is my favorite month. I think you've probably figured that out by now. But I'm so excited about it being the month of May because it's National Small Business Awareness Month, where we are really paying attention to small businesses. And of course, I'm a small business, so there's a little bit of bias there, but I love the fact that in May, we're just kind of taking a moment to celebrate those who had that fire in their belly and decided to pursue their dreams of business ownership and make them a reality. Because as a small business owner, I just know it's just so important to our community and the things that small business owners bring to the table. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited about this particular episode of How They See Us. But the other reason why I'm really excited is that I have an opportunity to talk to someone who I've watched from afar in our community really grow and evolve and give back to our city. And that person is Alice Watson. She is the CEO, the newly minted CEO of Indiana Black Expo. Hey there.
Hey, Denise.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Good. So I'm so happy you're here. IVE has been a massive pillar in our community for 53 years, which
Yes.
is no laughing matter. And you have do events, because let's make one thing clear out of the gate. Indiana Black Expo is an organization, and they are a nonprofit organization who hosts two signature events every year: Indiana Black Expo and Circle City Classic, which are fundraisers for our community.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure
Yes.
everybody understands that
Yes.
what it is that you are about.
Nonprofit fundraiser.
That's
Yes.
right, nonprofit,
Yes.
nonprofit.
Yes. Yes. No Beyonce.
No, 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 that takes away from the profit. So, but you also do, your fundraisers, your scholarship fundraisers. You do a lot of things with the youth. You also have an education conference that you
Mhm.
do every year. And so I'm just really happy to have this conversation. And I'd like for you to just take a moment to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about, who you are, what it is you do, and where you come from.
Thank you, Denise, and thank you for having me. I have actually, this is perfect for me too, because this is my space and this is my month.
Mhm.
Uh, when I started with this organization, I actually came from the state as the deputy commissioner for minority and women businesses. So again, it's my passion. I love small businesses. I love to see them grow. I love to watch them take the courage that I say I never had. It's easy to teach it and tell them what to do,
Mhm.
but to see the businesses go out there and do it has been phenomenal. So really excited about this month. I've been with the organization for 11 years.
Has it been 11
It's been
years?
11 years, Denise. It's like I
Wow.
don't want to count them as dog years, but I tell you, it feels that way. But really watched the organization as it transforms to really morph into something a little bit different. I mean, the foundation of this organization, quite frankly, if anyone knows the history of Indiana Black Expo, it was all about businesses. Uh,
Mhm,
when we
mhm,
started in 1970, and
mhm,
I like to go back and tell the story because, of course, our founders and love and respect them and what they did for the city of Indianapolis, because without this as a cornerstone for really Blacks, uh, there would be really no foundation for culture.
mhm,
But women actually brought the vision
mhm,
back,
mhm,
and no one ever talks about the women.
mhm,
We always talk about. Jim Cummins and Willard Ransom and Reverend Brown and some of the other founders. But it was really the vision of the women uh,
Mhm.
who brought this to fruition. So, really, really excited to be a part of this organization. Really looking forward to taking it. Uh, I won't be around for the next 50 years, but certainly to continue it on the path where we need to keep it as a cornerstone for the
Mhm.
community. So,
Mhm.
excited to be here, excited to talk about some of our initiatives and what we're doing as it relates to business owners.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing that piece of history, because you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've come from. And
Mhm.
that's so important. So going back from to talk about our early days, not from the perspective of, well, I remember when. No, let's really go back in history and
Yes,
talk about who and how and the women that were behind. There's always women in the movement,
yes.
and women behind the scenes doing our thing to push things forward. So thank you for sharing that. So you've talked a little bit about the history, but tell us, what is Indiana Black Expo?
So, Indiana Black Expo is what the community needs. We are an advocate and a voice for African Americans. That is our mission. So, what we try to do is to make sure we're intentional with that. And I say that when we talk about those two events, if you will,
Mhm,
I always like to tell people that those events are just what they are. It's like we're an organization. If you want to say party with a purpose, that is
mhm,
what we do. We party with a purpose.
mhm,
We host summer celebration. Of course, it's coming up, really excited about it. But under the umbrella of summer celebration, there are programs. And it's the one thing that I feel that we've not done a very good job of telling our story about.
mhm,
And that's the programs underneath the events. I mean, we have one of the largest education conferences that teaches cultural competencies to educators and administrators so that they know how to interact with our youth.
mhm,
We have the business conference, again, another major event where we actually, and it's not just for our Black businesses, certainly that's the most critical, but it is really for those women owned businesses, veteran owned businesses. It's for all businesses to give them the opportunity to network and learn from key decision makers
mhm,
on how to access capital, procurement opportunities, uh, whatever those opportunities are, how to interact with other business decision makers, understanding how to navigate within the public and private sector for contracts. So that is a program. We have a youth leadership summit where we educate over 200 youth over a 3-day period on conflict resolution, on entrepreneurship, on
mhm,
financial literacy, on opportunities post-secondary, Purdue being one of our key sponsors for that
mhm,
event, youth entrepreneurs seminars. So we do a lot during summer celebration than just throw an outdoor concert. Uh,
mhm,
so I think that, again, what we've got to do ourselves is just tell our story a little bit better on that everything we do is very intentional. It is not
mhm,
just about uh, who's coming to the concert, which,
mhm,
of course, the community is always very interested in. And
mhm,
certainly we want to serve the community as best we can within the realms of what the budget allows,
mhm,
because it's a free concert. But
mhm,
we really are trying to get the community engaged in the program.
mhm.
And I would be remiss to not talk about the Black and Minority Health Fair, uh,
Please, please
the
do.
largest health fair in the community, country. Let me back
Mhm.
up, the country. And
Yeah,
no place else could you get $2,000 worth of free testing.
yeah.
So we do a lot during that 10-day period.
And it's critical testing that's
Yes,
offered by your healthcare partners. It's not
yes,
just any old testing. It's real things and very specific. It's things that impact us as Black people.
yes,
That
yes.
things that we're prone to. You have
Yes,
health.
diabetes, prostate cancer, I mean, all of the things that that's been in our DNA, certainly
Mhm,
greater than our
mhm,
white counterparts. And all
mhm,
of that's free. I mean, it's not insurance driven. Those are free tests. And I
mhm.
would encourage anybody to go and check out that health fair.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you for adding that because that's a critical component. When we were preparing for this, when we were talking about, what is Indiana Black Expo? What are we about? I shared with you that we felt as though you are building a better Black community in Indianapolis. That's really where you're focused and what you're committed to doing. And so we need to be committed to you so that we can build a better community across the board, across all socioeconomic levels. So that's a bit more than a concert,
Yes,
a
absolutely.
bit
Yes,
more than a concert.
yes, it is.
So, shifting gears, I had a chance to review your 5-year strategic plan. I had a
Mhm.
chance to look at that, the impact report, and I'm really excited to see the goals that you set for the organization. And so, can you give us a peek behind the curtain? What will the community see in the near future coming out of Indiana Black Expo under your leadership?
Well, I tell you again, that 5-year strategic plan, it was an easy foundation in that a lot of those things we were already doing. I think that, and I always use this analogy with Indiana Black Expo. We're like a great big Black-led organization, that has gotten so big that sometimes you have the inability to maneuver.
Mhm,
So with the 5-year strategic plan, which again, there are four pillars of that plan:
mhm,
economic equity, youth equity and empowerment, community empowerment, and then there's the health component.
mhm,
All of that, again, what it allows us to do, because we have the foundation, is to take a deeper dive and really just look internally within ourselves and assess what is it that we need to do to make a greater impact within the community.
mhm,
We're doing a lot of the programming, as I said, but how do we take ourselves, as big as we are, and use the tentacles of partnerships uh,
mm,
to make a greater difference within the community? More
mm,
collaboration, really, if you will, on some
mhm,
of our programs. As we look at the business component, which is near and dear to my heart, how do we collaborate with other organizations who are in that same space,
mhm,
leveraging the strength and the tentacles that we have to make a difference in the community? How do we reach back and help other organizations to make a greater impact as it relates to business, as it relates to education? We have a performing arts academy
mhm,
that really we moved on the east side. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, they've lost their mind. They're moving off of Meridian Street. What are they thinking?" Well, we did it intentionally because this is where the greatest need was for youth on the east side of
mhm,
Indianapolis. So
mhm,
how do we take that component of what we do to be a greater service to the east side, because
mhm,
that's where the greater need is? We invested as much in technology in this building, which is a 45,000 square foot building, um,
mhm,
as we did in purchasing the building, so that
mhm,
we could have the state of art in music production, the state of art in videography. We have a black box theater. We have many music production rooms. All of it is really predicated towards serving youth, not only in this area where there's the greatest need, but across Indianapolis. So, really taking that and figuring out how we can collaborate with others who are in that space to say, hey, look, we have a facility in which we can serve easily on any given day over
mhm,
100 kids. Um, Teaching them not only about the technology of music and dance and acting, um, and photography and videography, but the intent of that was really to get the youth in so that we could see what are the needs and how can we point them in the right direction, be a pipeline, whether it's mental health issues, whether it's
mhm,
academic. How can we improve on our resources and reach to serve
mhm.
our youth in the community?
That what you did, Alice, you moved the cheese.
Did I
that,
do the
you moved the cheese, you made change.
It's
So,
a big
if people
change.
don't like change, the book Who Moved My Cheese, you know,
Yes,
in order
yes,
to change, we have to move the cheese. And so
yeah,
in order for Indiana Black Expo to evolve and serve one of their key target audiences, they had to change. And
yes,
they had to evolve. And so that decision wasn't made in a vacuum, but you knew that causing the change, sometimes when we move the cheese, it causes heartburn for some people.
yes,
But in
absolutely.
in the end,
And it was uncomfortable for us also, it's like, "Oh my
yeah,
god," it's like, "Are we really doing this thing?" But
right.
it is, the most uncomfortable things are the things that, really dictate the greatest need. So,
They
it
do.
wasn't about us,
Yeah.
it was really about the community.
I think sometimes when we look big picture, it is painful. It
Yes.
is. So I want to shift gears a little bit because, as you said, small businesses is,
Mhm.
what makes your heart beat. And it is Small Business Month. And so you've got some really amazing entrepreneurial initiatives going on at Indiana Black Expo. And so, like the Business Training Institute, you talked about the Black Business Conference, the Minority Small Business Series you have as well. Can you talk a little bit about those and why that's such a critical component of what it is you all do?
Absolutely. So, this all started, I mean, again, the foundation that we started as serving Black businesses, showcasing excellence and showcasing, uh, creating a platform for small businesses and retailers. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, we actually entered into a partnership, with the Indiana, Department of Economic Corporation, IEDC, as we all
Mhm,
know it to
mhm,
be,
mhm,
um, on the Governor's Restart Initiative. And it was a statewide initiative. We actually, we partnered with, Engaging Solutions,
mhm,
and also, Willis Bright was a part of it. And what we did with this, statewide initiative is the intent is to inform businesses about the Governor's Restart Initiative,
mhm,
is to send them to, that program for access to capital. And again, we touched over 800, small Black businesses across the state of Indiana. And what we found is the majority of those businesses weren't eligible for the
mhm,
funds.
mhm.
Uh, Very disappointing. It was like sending businesses into a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And during that analysis, we found that these businesses lacked the information needed to
Mhm.
be, I call it, funding ready.
Yeah. Mhm,
So we went back, with that, and we said we've got to do better than just what we do at the business conference. Because
mhm,
when we do the business conference, it's really informing. Uh,
mhm,
but what we decided we needed is to be more intentional with
mhm,
these businesses so that the businesses can walk away with the actual, I call it
mhm,
the portfolio of a toolkit, if you would.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm,
and so we started the Black Business Training Institute with KeyBank, who was all in, who's been one of our key funders for years and years and years, and partners. And we said, look, we want to teach these businesses. We want to teach. We don't want to just speak to. We want to take a
mhm,
deeper dive. It's a whole theory on impact. And so we started the Black Business Training Institute. We started that last year. Last year, we served over 74 businesses who graduated. We had 129 who applied through our program. And thank you, Denise, as being one of the instructors.
thank you.
We were very intentional
Mhm,
on making sure that we, solicited qualified,
mhm,
Black-owned businesses, because the one thing that we learned from the Governor's Restart Initiative is the businesses trusted more of those who look like
look
them.
like them. Mhm,
Uh,
mhm,
and we created this comfort space for them where they can interact with each other peer to peer. They're very comfortable, as you know, in asking questions and
mhm.
engaging. Uh, so, I mean, and it's been great. And that our
Mhm,
first cohort last year, they still have that peer to peer where you always try to achieve it with businesses.
mhm,
They have their own little mini club. They have their own Facebook
mhm,
page where they still feed off of each other. So
mhm.
it's been an awesome, awesome
That's
experience with these
wonderful.
businesses. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so watching them grow, because we say, okay, you got to get on LinkedIn. We've got to, we've had marketing support, of course, to tell them, how do you sell yourself? What's your elevator speech?
Mhm,
How do you get yourself ready for any type of funding opportunities? How do you go because you need capacity to grow?
mhm, mhm,
So we're on our second cohort,
mhm,
and I believe we have close to 60 who are in that cohort.
mhm,
Um, and we're just going to keep going with it
mhm.
because what we're
Good.
finding is there's a hunger out there. I mean, when we send it out, even with this particular cohort, initially we had 159 who applied, and they say, okay, look, we say you got to do at least 80% of the
Mhm,
classes to be eligible for, actually we do growth grants after
mhm,
they graduate. So very, very excited about the program and who we're serving. And again, it's our community, because as we know, as businesses grow within the community, they hire uh,
mhm.
each other. So it's been an incredible journey, actually.
It's pretty amazing stuff. So, yeah, thank you for inviting me to participate. And you're
Mhm.
right. People, as a small business owner, when you see someone that looks like you and they can tell their stories, and you know that there's that unspoken sense of commonality
Mhm.
that exists, it makes a huge, huge difference. So, I applaud you all for deciding we're done just talking at people. We're going to roll our sleeves up and get
Yes.
down in the mud and, like,
Yes.
let's figure this out together and create a safe space for these Black business owners to come together and talk and share information and learn. And so kudos to you all for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a couple other questions. I know that the time is going by so quickly, but a couple of things I want to cover off with you really quickly. You all are more than 5 decades old at
Mhm.
this point, and
Mhm.
that's huge. And so, if there's a message that you would like to share about Indiana Black Expo, both to people that know the organization and have known it since the first brick was laid, and to those of the new generation that may not have that historical knowledge about Indiana Black Expo. What is IBE? What's the message you would share about IBE?
Well, I think I would share is IBE is really the communities. We're only here because of the community. I mean, this is an organization, again, you have to know the history. I mean, this organization, the reason it's been able to sustain itself from the jump, the initial start is that the community invested in this organization. People, again, I'm sure you've heard those stories. They mortgaged their homes
Oh, yeah. Mhm,
to donate money for the organization. And
mhm,
so I just want the community to know that we are still the community's organization.
mhm,
Uh, and we are still, the doors are open. I say that to my people, and I say that to the community. I mean, I'm very transparent. We're going to stumble,
mhm,
uh, but know it's in our heart and
mhm,
not in our head, and that we're really here to serve the community based off of what the needs are. Uh,
mhm,
and we
mhm,
need everyone to tell us what those needs are. I mean, we did a lot of analytics, a lot of assessments, a lot of stakeholders uh, involvement to figure out what would be the direction of the 5-year strategic plan. And
mhm,
so that plan is very intentional. It's because we listened. Uh,
mhm,
I'm
mhm,
excited about moving the organization forward for the next 5 years,
mhm,
collaborating with other organizations to
mhm,
make
mhm.
sure that we make a greater impact.
Mhm, mhm. Thank you. So up the community, it belongs to you. And the doors, like the doors of the church, the doors of Indiana Black Expo are always open. So,
Yes.
so come on in, share your feedback, support. My final question that I have for you is that you all do a lot, but you are a very lean staff, which means you have to rely a lot on volunteers.
Yes.
And so last month, we had the pleasure of talking with Dr. Michael Twyman to talk about Black philanthropy and the importance of giving and how we as Black people do give, more than people even realize that we give. And so for those that might be interested in volunteering with IBE, or, what volunteer opportunities do you have? Do you need? And how can they get involved with you all?
So it is on our website, indianablackexpo.com. Again, I when people talk about Hoosier hospitality,
Hmm.
let's go back to how this
Mhm.
organization has survived. I mean, you're right. We are very lean. We use close to 500 volunteers between the two events. And you would never see so many Black volunteers come out as they do for summer celebration. And we
Mhm.
can always use more. It's all generational. We've had a lot of volunteers who've been here since the very beginning of the organization. And it's time to pass the torch, y'all. They tired. They
Right.
still putting it in, but they are tired. So, so love to see younger volunteers pick up the ring and help those who've been doing it for 50 years. And literally,
Mhm.
there have been some who have been volunteering for 50 years. But we are an
That's
organization of
wonderful.
volunteerism.
Thank you. So everybody, don't talk about it, be about it.
Be about it.
Put your money where your mouth is. It's for the community. Alice is telling you she wants you to come out, she wants you to support. So come volunteer, and not just during the summer.
That's right.
Come out during the winter time too. Come out during the fall and the spring. Volunteerism doesn't end after the 1 week in July. Indiana Black Expo is open 365 days of the year with
Yes.
programming that goes on. It never, ever, ever, ever stops. So, Alice, as we close out, is there anything else you'd like to share with us while we have this time together?
No, I just again thank you for what you're doing, and thank you because you've been one of our volunteers. Uh, really appreciate that, and just looking forward to the next 5 years.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, Alice Watson, CEO, Diva in Charge, Girl Power at Indiana Black
Yeah,
Expo.
that's me.
Yes. So we wish you the very best with all that you're going to embark upon on your journey as the leader of this wonderful institution.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of How They See Us. As you can see, there's a lot going on in our community, a lot of exciting things for us to talk about. I want to thank you for tuning in. I also, as always, want to thank Selena Coles, who's our lovely account manager. You all don't get to see her. Maybe one day I'll do a conversation with her. Uh-oh. So, so she runs everything, writes all the questions, reaches out to all of our guests, and keeps us on track. So thank you, Selena, for all you do to make sure that our program is a success. So make sure you tune in, share this episode with a friend, and make sure you just keep watching us because we love to talk about how they see us. I'm Denise Hurd, president of Hurd Strategies. Have a great day.